It's our 2023 Guardians of the Flame State Conference. We have our conference every year. This conference we bring agencies from all over the state. There's about 30 agencies. We bring officers together for this conference to give them inspiration, education, and information on all things related to both community policing and how they can use our program to bring back to their local communities and bridge those relationships with their citizens. But the most important thing is that they're raising awareness for our Special Olympic athletes. Our conference is about the training now. It used to be just a kickoff business meeting, and it's grown. It's grown now to where we're offering trainings on how to work with individuals with intellectual disabilities. If you see someone with Down syndrome or you see someone with autism, how do you know what's the difference between an intellectual disability and a mental illness? And what are the triggers that you can identify so that your engagement with a person with intellectual disabilities can go in the way of safe experiences versus anything else. What that torch represents is a hope that our athletes will always be given an opportunity to experience that dignity. And like any one of us, it's so important that we have a sense of self-worth that is celebrated in the community. So that torch that comes in for opening ceremonies, when we run that torch throughout the state, we're reminding the community, but more importantly, we're reminding our athletes that they matter, not just to us, but to the world. And so to keep on training, keep on competing, and we're right behind you the whole way. We all know public safety officers, from firefighters to police officers to everyone in between, live high-octane lives. Having to keep our streets safe isn't a walk in the park. So an appreciation for all the work that our officers, first responders, firefighters, police officers, and then you come to our Special Olympic events, doing all this great work to make sure our athletes are on the top of the pedestal. There's a need for us to thank you in a way where it's really about, so to speak, let your hair down, and be yourselves. Let you come down from that high-octane life for just a night, if only, and let you be amongst people who understand what it's like to walk in your shoes and those who can celebrate all the things that you have to offer our community.
As you spend time with Special Olympic athletes and you get to interact with them and you learn a little bit more about them as people, you start to change. And that's the power. They are the greatest teachers, I swear to goodness. They are the greatest teachers we have today.
What you saw this morning was a showcase of a bigger torch run that we do in May. And that's the torch run that carries 1,600 miles across New Mexico. And the 4 torches that start in Farmington, Taos, Las Cruces, and Carlsbad, they become one torch over the span of 2 weeks. Our Torch Run at Conference showcases what the Flame of Hope is all about so that these attendees can go back to their agencies and say, we need to make our Torch Run bigger in our communities, we need to make it better, and we're taking what we learned from conference and we're really gonna make this statewide relay in May pop.
So my thought about this morning's torch run through the city, it was 26 degrees.
Everybody couldn't feel their fingers and no one could feel their legs. But we were so excited when we saw all the Bernalillo County Fire Department units that were ready to lead us as an escort down the roads. We had officers that had never been to Albuquerque, much less downtown Albuquerque, to see the big tall buildings that they were going to run through. So there was excitement in the air about carrying this torch on behalf of Special Olympics and taking it all in that we were in downtown Albuquerque. Athletes, officers, we had dignitaries that were with us. And so we braved the cold because we knew the bigger importance was we were making some waves in the community and we were excited that what this was going to represent moving forward.
When we have an event that's an outdoor event, whether it's a games, a run, whatever it is, unlike those who don't have intellectual disabilities, our athletes don't complain. So they were freezing this morning. We were freezing this morning. I was whining, but our athletes never complain. They participate with all of their hearts, and that's what they did this morning.
Yeah.
So the finish line, because I got to be there before the runners came in, so you have 2 fire engines holding a huge United States flag, and it's waving in the wind, and which is emotional enough. And then you see everyone running, and when you see the torch and you see everyone running behind it, people who had been standing there freezing for a half an hour, we couldn't do anything but cheer. I mean, it was just so emotional. And I think that celebration and that emotion happens every time those torch runs happen.
We were very grateful to have Chief Bettis from BCFD lead us in that start. Chief was there from the get-go, and he ended the torch with us there at the finish line. So it's so important for us to have the type of support from the high levels of command in our city. And so we're very grateful for Chief Perez for his support, and all the command staff allowed us to have that experience down the downtown streets of Albuquerque.
So for the athletes of Special Olympics New Mexico, it's time for the uphill climb. So we have competitions that are starting now throughout the course of the year. We don't have any excuse not to train hard and not to compete with all of our heart, no matter what our ability levels are. So you have law enforcement, and you have fire departments, and you have communities behind you. Don't let them down.